13 News Now begins with breaking news. A tractor trailer plunges off the Bay Bridge Tunnel and into the Chesapeake Bay.
Search efforts are underway as we speak. It is Friday night. I'm Regina Mobley.
And I'm David Allen. Let's get things started with that breaking news. Our team is working this story from several different angles. Meteorologist Evan Stewart is examining what role strong storms may have played.
But first, we want to get to the very latest on the search efforts. Robert Boyd is live to begin our team coverage from the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel.
Well, Regina, within the last hour, all lanes have now reopened here on the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel, but it was quite a mess for several hours tonight. According to authorities, it was around 6:30 when a van collided with a tractor trailer, sending that tractor trailer overboard into the water, and at this time, still no update on the driver of that tractor trailer. As we were driving across the bridge earlier tonight, we were trying to look over the side, trying to peer into the water, see if we could see search and rescue crews, see if we could see any kind of police lights, but it's just been so rainy and it's so dark, it was just very tough for us to see. There is no visibility. So right now, we're still waiting an update on the driver of the tractor trailer. As for the van involved in that crash, 5 people are inside that van. Fortunately, all 5 of them were treated on the scene and are all expected to be okay. And the cause of this crash is still under investigation. We have to wonder, with all the rain we've had, very wet roads out there, miles per hour is supposed to be down to 35 or less. You got to wonder if the weather was a factor in this crash, and we'll still wait and see what the final verdict is on that. Live from the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel, Robert Boyd, 13 News Now.
As Robert mentioned, weather will likely be a factor investigators will be looking into as they try to piece together what went wrong.
Meteorologist Evan Stewart has more on that and the conditions facing rescuers tonight.
Well, certainly not as bad as it was earlier this evening. Quite a light show out there with a lot of lightning, but most of the storms didn't have a lot of wind with them. And it looks like the one that was over the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel didn't either. We'll start off with a look at the radar right now, and we are tracking still some more moderate rain up across the eastern shore, and we also have some heavy rain right along the state line through parts of Northampton County, North Carolina. But there was a lot of heavy rain earlier, and again, a big light show up across portions of the peninsula and the middle peninsula. And I'll take you back to 6:30 this evening. We were just wrapping up the news, and we had talked about this big thunderstorm that had just sat over the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel for about an hour or so, producing heavy rain. But as far as the winds go, wind gusts reported at 6:30 of 34 miles per hour at this buoy just off the Bay Bridge Tunnel. And there's actually a sensor right here that had a 27 mile per hour wind gust. Now, that doesn't mean that right here underneath the core of the storm there couldn't have been a higher gust, or there might have been issues with visibility because of the heavy rain or some hydroplaning coming off of the bridge section there, that high-rise bridge just off of Fisherman's Island. Now, out there right now, still that moderate rain up across portions of the eastern shore, and we still have a flood advisory in effect for Hampton, Poquoson, and York County until 11:30 tonight, and back until 1:45 a.m. for Northampton County, North Carolina. Mainly still some moderate rain across the Bay Bridge Tunnel, the mouth of the bay, and up across the eastern shore. It picks up a little bit more up through Accomack County, Keller, Onancock, and Bluxom, and back across areas of Northampton County. We've got some heavy rain around Lasker and Seabird. As we go through the day tomorrow, once again looking at some afternoon showers and thunderstorms. Again, the possibility with all this humid air, some of them could be heavy. We'll be tracking those chances as we go through the day tomorrow, and I'll have the rest of the weekend outlook and the 7-day forecast in a few minutes.
All right, Evan, thank you. Our newsroom is working to learn more about this crash. Expect updates on air, online, and on the go with the free 13 News Now app.
All new tonight, a mother wants answers in the death of her daughter.
And she to put a revolver in her mouth.
Well handcuffed.
While handcuffed.
That's what the police told me.
That's what the investigator told me last night.
It was Wednesday when Chesapeake police say a 19-year-old woman mysteriously died during a traffic stop. Police say the girl used a handgun inside the car to shoot and kill herself.
But her mother thinks there is much more to the story, and she is desperate for answers. Before heading out to the breaking news, Robert Boyd sat down with her. It's a story you'll see only on 13 News Now.
In all of her life, I've never known of her to shoot a gun, own a gun, or even hold a gun.
Dawn Wilson is still trying to come to grips with why and how her 19-year-old daughter, Sarah Wilson, apparently committed suicide on Wednesday afternoon.
I'm not pointing fingers. I don't know what happened. I wasn't there. But I need to know. And I think that's fair. I'm her mom.
This is witness cell phone video taken from the intersection of Berkeley Avenue and Wilson Road in Chesapeake. Wilson was in the passenger seat. Wilson used a gun to take her own life.
Things are not matching up. Somewhere, somehow, there's discrepancy.
Dawn says she has been told a different story compared to what police are relaying to the media.
She was handcuffed.
And
she to put a revolver in her mouth.
While handcuffed.
While handcuffed.
That's what the police told you.
That's what the investigator told me last night. If that is the case, it's very unfortunate and tragic, but there's a level of negligence there.
Dawn says witnesses on scene have spun yet another, more terrifying version of events over social media.
There's a few different stories, but they all end the same, that the police shot her.
Wilson also says investigators told her this was anything but a routine traffic stop. She says the driver, who was Sarah's boyfriend, was being followed.
We're investigating the driver. The Chesapeake police were investigating the driver, so they had been surveilling him.
She said the irony is one of the officers involved was wearing a body camera, which could answer a lot of these questions. There's only one problem.
It malfunctioned.
So no video.
That's the gist of it.
Sarah's Facebook page does have postings indicating she was suffering from depression, but Dawn says she has two younger sisters she just adores, and she wouldn't do that to them.
She's a moody teenager. If there's a mom out there that hasn't heard some of that stuff from their kids, I'd love to meet them.
Chesapeake police did not return 13 News Now's phone calls or emails. If anyone has information on this case, you're asked to call the crime line. Robert Boyd, 13 News Now.
The driver of the car, Holden Medlin, remains behind bars. The 27-year-old faces several charges, including drug and gun offenses.
A driver is charged in this crash. 13 News Now on Main Street, not far from City Hall. Police say the driver of the black BMW turned in front of the train and was struck. HRT suspended the tide between NSU and Fort Norfolk. Shuttle buses carried passengers while crews cleaned up the mess. It is back to work for Will Sessoms. The former mayor of Virginia Beach has a new gig, and it looks a lot like his old gig at Town Bank. Sessoms stepped down as mayor earlier this year. He said it was to rejoin the private sector. Now Town Bank confirms it has hired Sessoms. He will become the managing director of Town Vacations. That is the bank's resort business. Sessoms used to lead the bank's financial services division.
They're the last police department in Hampton Roads to get body cameras. Tonight we're getting a look at the technology that soon will be worn by every Virginia Beach police officer. It could take as long as 2 years for the department to fully implement the new technology. We're told 450 cameras will be rolled out in 4 phases. The officers are responsible for turning the cameras on and off manually anytime they interact with someone. We're told anytime an officer's weapon is drawn, the officer's camera and any others within 30 feet will automatically activate.
We will not be able to capture everything, but we will be able to capture a lot. I think a lot of citizens will appreciate the fact that we are now recording all of our encounters.
Police Captain Todd James tells 13 News Now the benefits of body cameras include a decrease in complaints of use of force.
Live now to Newport News. Police have a message for anyone heading out tonight. Drive sober or get pulled over. They're beefing up DUI patrols. The department says officers will target areas where they think drunk drivers will be riding around. A state grant is helping to pick up the tab for the officers' overtime.
New round of tests finds negative results for E. coli and coliform aboard an aircraft carrier at Norfolk Naval Shipyard. Earlier, we told you the shipyard found the bacteria on USS Dwight D. Eisenhower during routine water testing. Water coolers are being brought in for everyone working on the ship and on the pier. Nearby buildings also tested negative for the contaminants. There is no word yet on where the contamination could have come from.